Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Drew. Hello, Nick. How are you?
Hey, there he is. How you doing, Charlie, my friend?
I'm good. And you?
Oh, doing good. I was just telling Drew, 6 a.m. over here in the West Coast. Well, it's 7 now, but I'm trying to wake myself up.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I know the feeling very, very well. I've had a lot of very early morning start. Well, Drew and I are up at 4 every morning doing the news, the daily news. So I can sympathise
That's too
with that.
early.
Hello,
Where is
buddy.
that chap?
Here's that scampy scammer. Sorry, guys, I'm in the middle of nowhere in a car park, pulled over in the middle of a Spanish restaurant. Been waiting
Good
an hour.
man.
I mistimed it, so I came on too early, didn't I, Drew? I was talking to you an hour ago.
As always, just
Yeah,
can't get
yeah.
it right.
Well, you know,
Oh,
who lives the life by time clocks is. I'm not one of these people. I don't barely know what day of the month it is.
Whereabouts are you, Mahoney?
I'm up near my country place, Charlie, up past Rhondda. I've got a family friend over, and well, actually, my family friend, my son, and then a guy, my business partner's in from the Czech Republic. So he arrived late, and they're all inside drinking and eating, and I'm out here talking to a lot of conspiracy theorists. I think my day's better.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was going to start off, Mahoney, because we're living in you and I started 5, 6 years ago now, communicating about this, and Nick, we linked up with you probably 3 or 4 years ago. Um, and I mentioned this the other day, but it's been today just for a little bit of light entertainment. Mahoney and I live in Spain, and a lot of the Spanish people watch bullfighting for a bit of light entertainment. In England, they watch fox hunting for a little bit of entertainment. In America, they go shooting for a little bit of entertainment. I found my entertainment today watching truthers slap the shit out of each other online. I thought it was funny as funny.
Really?
Um, yeah, it was hilarious. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because the one thing you learn in life, and I am very blessed to be surrounded by very, very successful people, millionaires and billionaires. And anybody who's starting out, they will give a hand to in a millisecond. They'll help you. People above you help you.
Yeah.
People below you fire at you, criticize you, moan and bitch like little piggies at you. They squeal away all day long, and we're seeing that in the truth community. And I shared the other day the 7 different levels of consciousness. The first level is you live comfortably within the system, you work, you consume, you believe what you're told, and you don't question it. And they're the people that are attacking the next level, which is level 2, which is you start to feel something doesn't fit. The news, the lies, the constant repetition, something seems to bother you. And when you move into that second level of consciousness, you're more than willing to put a hand back to those in the third dimension and help them along. Those in the third dimension will fire rockets at you, criticize you, shout at you, scream at you, bitch at you, moan like shit at you. And we're seeing that in the truth community. The third level is as you question religion, politics, and even science. Well, there's one religion that if you question right now, there are people in the third dimension who'll throw their rattle out the pram. You mention the Jew word, and oh my God, they go mental.
Yeah.
You mention I mean, they're worse than if you mention the Nazis, or even if you the Islamic extremists. But they attack from below, not from above. And the people who question religion, which I did in 1983, and it was harder for me then than it is for you now, because the people who taught me were my parents, who I should have been able to trust. And I tell you for nothing, it was hard for me to unpick that. It took me a long time. It took me 2.5 years just to loosen the knot. It took me another 7.5 years to come to terms with the fact that what I'd been told was not accurate. The only problem was that when I found out that what I was told was not accurate, the people I was talking to were less accurate than they were. I was fed even more bullshit than I was fed when I was younger. So I had to then develop to higher consciousness. And you move then into the fourth level, where you discover manipulation and how the system controls your mind through fear, music, and food. When you're in the fourth level and you start to realize that the television, the food, the music is all there to attack you, the people who are still questioning religion attack you as well from below. So you're now getting attacked from 3 levels below. But if you had the ability to put your hand up to the people on the 5th level, you turn inward and stop blaming others. You understand that you have the ability to create your own reality. When you get to that level, your arms get very long in reaching down to help other people, but nobody's getting hold of your hand. There are people down below you that are desperate, but they're not getting hold of your hand. They're biting your fingers. And that's what we're seeing right now. There's people that are rising up through the different levels of consciousness that are stretching their arms out to help those lower down and having their fingers bitten, but they're still putting their hand out to help them. And there are people above them on the 6th level where you learn to control your energy. You realize that everything is vibration and frequency. And some of those people biting your fingers are on a different planet, on a different frequency, on a different level. And your thoughts shape your reality. And I've heard people today, the fight today online about whether Trump was good or bad was absolutely hilarious. These are people who have got no idea. And even when I put out there, God is in full control of Donald Trump, somebody said, God doesn't control anybody. And I went, when you talk to people like that, there's no point arguing with an idiot. This person's never had a relationship with God. When you have a relationship with God, you surrender to let God control your life. God guide me. God lead me. God show me the way. That's not the forceful control. That's surrendering to God to allow God to move you where he wants you. And then the highest level is the 7th level is you feel gratitude. And you realize that nothing external will save you because the power has always been within you. And when you get to that level, you're reaching down to help other people, and all the attacks come from below. And from above, all you get is light and love. And that's directly from God. And when you get through those different phases and you watch these people, I watched an argument today on one of the WhatsApp groups, and it was unbelievable how people criticize what's going on without knowing what's going on. Yes, Trump, and Mahoney and I get this because Mahoney and I are very similar mentality to Trump. We don't mind dropping a spanner in the works, running away and pretending it's somebody else. We don't mind that at all, do we, Mahoney? We enjoy stirring it up.
You know, one of the things you're talking about there, Charlie, is one of the poignant moments in my life was when I just stopped caring about what other people thought about what I was saying or my attitude. I know Nick's the same. We've spent a lot of time together in the interviews, and, you know, some of the stuff that Nick comes out with, I read the comments and they're saying, Nick, you know, are you on some sort of medication? Are you nuts? And, you know, but the stuff, there's only a tiny percentage of the population that realize, you know, they get it, but they all seem to be tuned in at the same time. So having that attitude, this is my opinion. I don't care what you think, because this is how I feel. And there's a difference between thinking and feeling, because I say, look, stop thinking about things and start feeling things, but feel into it. And whatever Trump is doing, and it also depends which group you're on, Charlie. I mean, I don't waste my time on, I know what you're talking about, though. You can just catch something and you get gripped and brought into it. And it's quite amusing seeing all the people arguing about each other, but based on what? I mean, I had somebody say to me the other day, a certain part of Ireland, which I know very well, is not very attractive. I said, have you been there? No. Same thing. How can you comment about something if you've not been there or experienced it or lived it or felt it? But just giving up what people think about you or say about you. I mean, that happened to you a long time ago. I remember 5 years ago when you were really out there and saying this is a pantomime, this is just all a show. this is just like watching a movie, and they're saying, well, you know, Charlie, it's not such of a pantomime enjoyable show to me when I can't leave the house and I've got screaming toddlers and I can't go to work and I can't earn money. I know we all sympathize with these sort of situations where people lost all their livelihood. A lot of friends of mine lost their businesses during COVID, but it's like you can't make an omelet without breaking eggs. You've got to see there is going to be some collateral damage in this massive, vast change that we're going through on a spiritual level, an energetic level, a political level. I mean, if we look at the achievements we've made now, America is completely swung the other way from where it was before he came in there, from people in higher positions in the military not knowing to put a pair of pants on or a skirt and call themselves David or Dorothy. You know, where are we now? We're now finally back in the stages of the US military, the people that have got the finger on extremely powerful weapons and intel. The rods of God, for example, have been used recently in Iran. And, you know, these are people, airline pilots with 350 passengers on board, again, going through sort of transitional stages between male and female. I wouldn't want to be in a situation with a captain that doesn't know if it's David or Doris when there's an emergency situation. But we've seen vast changes in the way the pendulum has swung back again. I mean, Nick, you'd know, you're living through all of this, you know, in the States. You're the American here today, so you can throw your 50 cents in.
You know what? I'm just glad to be hanging out with you guys, man. I mean, look, and you know, I wanted to also say thank you for all the nice comments. You know, I see kind of scrolling past the bottom of my screen a lot of nice people, a lot of smart people that are in this insiders group, and I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, you know, Mahoney, man, my whole life I've always had people, you know, that I talk to casually that think the information or the things that I know is absolutely nuts. You know, I've always sort of been a little bit ahead of the curve. I mean, for decades, and you know, that's just the way I've always been. And through this journey, you know, I've watched both of you guys. I mean, you know, I remember being on Charlie's show. I think it was maybe 4.5, 5 years ago. You know, I met you, Mahoney, from here, and we've done 100 shows since then. But you know, we've all three sort of graduated, you know, through the processes of learning, through the different stages of this. You know, a lot of I mean, especially you, Mahoney, you were big into the geopolitical, you know, and I've seen you start to really, really gravitate and understand that 1/3 of the picture is not going to get it done. You're not going to be able to understand what's going on unless you embrace the spiritual and the cosmic pieces of this puzzle. You can't put a jigsaw puzzle together with 1/3 of the pieces. It's not going to come through. And, you know, and that's where people start their journey. And, you know, what Charlie was talking about, I don't know if you guys have heard, people have brought this story out about the crab fishermen. You know, I'm sure some people out there have heard the story in regards to how people are fighting and pulling people, or trying to pull people back into the 3D way of living. And the story goes, you know, a crab fisherman was sitting on the dock with a bucket full of crabs, and a kid comes up and says, you know, Mr. Fisherman, all the crabs, they're crawling out. They're going to crawl out. And the fisherman, this is a true story. This really happens. And the fisherman goes, don't worry. When they get up to the top of the bucket, the other crabs will pull them right back down. And that's exactly what happens. The crabs will crawl to the edge of the bucket, and when that happens, the other crabs at the bottom will reach up and yank them back in. And that is absolutely what goes on in our world, in the 3D world. People that are living, that are still choosing to live in the ego mind identity. They're living through the brain. They're allowing only the brain to decode the information that they're seeing in the matrix. They're not making that connection that there's more to it than just the brain. Living through the heart, beginning to live through the heart chakra, opens you up to so much more that you simply can't see, living the way we always have been, the way we've been conditioned to live. Okay. The way that the institutions such as science and religion and education have forced us to live our lives, to operate. The esoteric and the metaphysical is something that these institutions do not allow. That's nonsense. That's woo woo. That's hocus pocus. Nobody will ever take you seriously if you look into these types of things. And we're learning over these years that that's anything but the truth. And, there's so much going on. There's so much. And one of the things that I've been working on recently is just to try to help people understand how to see the big picture. Because when you're living in this sort of ego mind brain identity, and I can understand why there's so many normies, still that are running around, because many of the truthers have gotten themselves stuck in this decoding of information through the brain, trying to understand, trying to decode, what does it mean? What does it mean when Trump has a gold tie, or are those comms that he's, what does each bit of disclosure mean through the brain? But they're not allowing themselves to step back further and understand that each individual piece of disclosure is not supposed to be decoded. It's supposed to get you to a point where you understand that that people are supposed to realize that the actual information is not what's important. What's really important is understanding that it's all part of the illusion. And once we realize that each piece does not need to be decoded, then it becomes a lot easier. And we can go into more detail later on, but I just wanted to just sort of say I'm happy to be here with you guys, and this is a crazy journey we've all been on for sure.
It's true, isn't it, Charlie? I mean, one of the things that Charlie's famous for is that Jesus loves you. Everybody else thinks you're a twat. I like that. But it didn't used to be. You had another word at the start. I remember you were using for that.
Yeah.
And then it's the people involved in the movie. So if you think about the script, here we go. So the original people in the script we had Obama, we had Biden, we had Bill Gates, we had all of these weirdos that were put into positions of power, like the American Secretary of Health was a transgender. The Secretary of Health for Belgium was a woman that looked like Jabba the Hutt. She was absolutely enormous, and as far from a health secretary as you can imagine. So it was like a pantomime. I don't know if you know what a pantomime is, Nick. It's like this Christmas thing they do in England, yeah. But for the sake of the audience, they'll put a man who plays the Christmas fairy godmother. They'll put like Puss in Boots and Dick Whitting, all these Christmas fairy tale stories. They'll role reversal it. They'll put a woman who plays Jack and the Beanstalk, for example. There'll be a woman playing a famous soap opera from England or something. So Charlie's metaphor, the pantomime, because everything was reversed. And when you started to look at the players of the game, you couldn't help but see the humor in it, because some of the stuff they were doing was just so obviously, as we say in English, a piss take. Like, okay, there's something else going to come out. COVID, for example, you could sit in a restaurant, but as soon as you stood up, you had to put your mask on, because what is that? COVID has now got a built-in altitude sensor. So as soon as you stand up, it becomes contagious. You got to put your mask on. And we all started to see it when you put it in layman's terms as children. So we've all raised children, and I would agree most of the viewers out there have either had experience with children, and then, but Daddy, I don't want to go into their bedroom because there's monsters under the bed. There's no such thing as monsters. Let's have a look. And this is it. It's like Scooby-Doo when he takes the mask off and you reveal who the monster was all the time. It was old Mr. Jenkins. That's who it was. So this whole pantomime that we've been watching, it's still ongoing. It's just the players have changed a little bit. They removed it and put other people in there. Trump is still moving in and out of all of these circles. You know, the Straits of Hormuz, are they open? Are they closed? Is there going to be McDonald's and Burger Kings down there on floating devices now so the U.S. Navy can pull in and get a little snack as they're escorting vehicles through? And we've got alien disclosure documents coming out any second now that's going to undermine the entire religious basis of the entire planet by telling us that we're all based on Anunnaki DNA mixing and not from religious backgrounds. And now they're teaching pastors in the USA about we need you to be on board with us about a soft disclosure. There's so much confusion. And what about the Hunter virus? It's been released on a ship. And then you've got all these other people out there that were saying, hang on a second, one of the guys that was talking about this Hunter virus on the ship, here he is talking about COVID 4 years ago. He's a paid actor. Here he is in all of his roles.
ISIS actor.
Yeah. Joe Biden.
Just for
Joe Biden's stand-in body double has now been turning state's evidence against all the people that he was originally hired just to do a couple of waving hello greeting things to a full-on signing documents in Congress and going to into the White House all the time. You know, he's turning state's evidence. Every day there's more and more and more and more stuff coming out about what
just very quickly, I want to prove to everybody that you're watching a pantomime. I want to prove it to you with hard evidence, because at 9:22 this morning, Donald Trump left Singapore on Air Force One. Now, in mainstream media and social media, now, and I track all of his flights, every single flight he's on, I track. I get intel sent to me of what flight he's on and where he's going. This one, they told me he was leaving Singapore. They didn't tell me where he was going. And of course, they switched off the transponders as soon as they were in the air, which is what they do. But he was in Singapore. And yet I saw in the media that he was in Washington. And this just shows you, because the one thing that I have had now for 6-7 years is first-class intel on where he actually, or where his body double or clone is supposed, or one of them is supposed to be. And that was just this morning. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Let's see where the media say he is. Let's see where people think he is. They certainly didn't think he was in Singapore. But you're absolutely right. But Nick, you in the background there, you've got United States Space Force. So if anybody was going to be attacked from above, it would be Nick. Have you ever been attacked from above, Nick?
Not recently, Charlie.
Have you got your roof painted blue just in case?
Exactly, yeah.
So I've got a question here, guys. So
Yep.
it's Charlie. Can I see a picture of you when you were in your 20s?
You can, because we shared this a few years ago when we had a lady on who I was talking to somebody who had been trafficked. I talked to a number of different women who had been trafficked by different people. None more so than there's a few of them that have become really good friends of mine because they brought a lot of attention. For just for your entertainment and your entertainment only, I will show you what I looked like when I was in my early 20s.
I don't think I've seen this.
Have you not?
No, I don't think so. It's when you, oh, look at that. Who do you look like? Justin.
What?
Yeah, that was me with hair.
Charlie
I used to have a great big mop of hair.
You look a little bit like Dustin Hoffman back in the day.
Dustin Hoffman.
That's what Stevie Wonder said.
Dustin Hoffman mixed with one of the Cray twins from London in the 60s.
Yeah.
Wow, that I would never guess that was Charlie. Doesn't look like Charlie at all, in my opinion.
No, what happened was this lady claims, she said, oh, I remember seeing you on the private jet in America. I remember your face ever so well. And I said, well, I always traveled with this guy. do you remember him? She said, no, he wasn't there. I said, that's good, because that was me when at that time. So the person that you saw 20 years ago was not me. That was me 30 years ago, whenever it was.
What
So
else is on your radar at the moment, Charlie? We watching what Trump's in Singapore. What do you think he's doing there? Then he's obviously doing some sort of trade deals with Asia, isn't he? And I think maybe is he going to Taiwan as well?
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing, because when I mentioned about the 7 different levels of frequency, what he did the other day was classic Trump. He showed a US dollar bill for $250 with his face on it.
Yeah.
And some people were bouncing off the ceiling. Now, to me, do you know what it did to me? It made me smile. Do you know why? Because what it did was show me that we're not going to just digital currency. We're going to keep physical currency. And I was like, wow, there you go. There's a sign. Because Trump can't put his face on a digital currency, but he can on a note, and he'll do anything to keep that. He'll do anything to keep physical currency if he's got his face on it.
But strange amount, 250, isn't it? Really, you'd think it would be.
It is
200, maybe.
It's for the 250th year anniversary.
That makes sense. There you go. I missed that.
Yeah. But the fact it was on a note that how do they take 250 bill in a grocery store, lady? Go, well, the way inflation's going, you'll get a banana for that. You'll do well.
You might get half a tank of fuel.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, you guys, the thing that a lot of people, I mean, especially groups like MAGA, they've developed in humans have a way of doing this. We have a way of deifying people or groups. We're so quick to want to jump on bandwagons, and this is conditioning through hundreds and hundreds of years of cabal influence. People have to stop everything Trump says is great. Trump's my hero. Trump himself is doing things deliberately to break that spell, you guys. It is not. It is. This is exactly the opposite of what we're trying to push forward. We're trying to teach people that these institutions are a problem, all of them. And by creating new institutions like MAGA, and I mean, look, MAGA is full of wonderful, amazing, intelligent people, but it's the institution itself that's created that causes the problems, that causes groupthink, that causes mob rule think. Anything they say is good. Anything outside of what they say is bad. These types of ways of thinking are part of the problem, okay? And some of the things Trump is doing to break this up is necessary, because there will be a day when Trump will simply have to hand the torch to us. There has to be a time when the people understand that it is us that is driving everything. Look, this is something a lot of people have trouble with. We're not supposed to be sitting back on the couch waiting for disclosure. What are they going to tell us? What are the almighty important people? What are the experts going to tell us is true? What are the people on the news going to tell us it's true? That is exactly the opposite of what all of this is about. We are driving the disclosure. Our collective consciousness is allowing certain disclosure to be opened, be unsealed, so to speak. And when we are ready as a group, the disclosure comes. Okay, it's much more metaphysical than people give it credit for, but that is exactly how this works. And it's very, very confusing. There's a lot of things going on that are not just of Earth humans. There are a lot of groups that are involved that occupy a lot of different layers and levels, okay, above and beyond what you see with your regular eyes, what you're allowed to see. I'm not going to even get into the nitty gritty and the minutia, but imagine there being sort of a battle. And imagine the battle isn't between good and evil always. Sometimes the battle is between different levels of good, coming from different layers of observation. Imagine one group that is in favor of humanity, but believes more so that humanity needs the suffering. They need the difficult lives for soul expansion. And maybe from their level of observation, it's different than a lower level of observation from, say, a non-light being off-worlder, where they believe that humans are ready to start learning through love and joy. And they don't continuously need to learn through pain and suffering and a hard life and torment. And they believe that the souls are looking for this type of life now. And maybe it's just a difference in observation. Maybe we've been doing things for so many hundreds, if not thousands of years, a certain way, and maybe now is the time for the change. And we are the ones to make that decision. See, we, through our consciousness, through our level of consciousness, all that means is awareness. Knowledge and awareness of the way the world works, how everything works around us, our ability to understand at a higher level. And when this takes place, it seeps into consciousness, into the collective consciousness of the planet. And when that happens, it allows the world to create new normals. Oh, ETs are real. Oh, there is an Epstein list. Oh, and it seeps into all aspects of our lives, including education, the medical industry. Oh, you mean it's okay now to bring up the 6,000 different hidden technologies and patents? We can now use this in a positive way rather than maybe we wouldn't have before. It's important, if there's one thing to understand, we are making the difference, and continuing to do what we're doing, continuing to learn, expand consciousness, and tell our neighbor, teach our friend. That's enough. That's what this is all about. Okay? It's not about, oh my God, what's Trump? What are they going to do to us? That is not what we need to worry about. They are a reflection of us. Okay? If people, and I'm going to be done in 2 seconds here. If people continue to want to fight and argue and bicker and show ego, mine's smarter than yours, the universe, by the law of mirrors, by the law of dominant frequencies, will continue showing us a life of this warring, battling, hate, fear. We've got to continue to show the vibration of love, understanding, and higher aspects of the human in order to see it reflect in our own lives and see the disclosure that we want to see reflected in our own lives. Everything is monitored. All of the things we discuss, all of the video, it's all monitored by the Alliance and higher groups. Are we ready? Have we turned a corner? Okay, don't think that it's not, because it is, to a level that nobody will believe. I talk about it sometimes and people are, oh, be serious. I am serious. It matters what we do, our patterns of thought, and where we go, how we teach others. It matters a lot. So I'll put
Just,
that on a
just
rest for
very
now.
quickly there, Nick, you made reference there to make that change. And of course, Michael Jackson in the great song Man in the Mirror. And I was just thinking to myself, I remember that. Yeah, I'm 66 years old, but I remember him, Man in the Mirror, remember that song. And then I looked to see when that song was released. 1988. That's over 40 years ago. That he was telling the world that we need to make that change 40 years ago. And I'm just going to mention this. That just gives you an idea how patient God is with us. And there's us wanting everything done tomorrow. But God's been waiting for a very, very long time. Michael Jackson was aware that we needed to make that change over 40 years ago.
For me, I think
That's exactly,
yeah.
that's how it works.
For
Go
me, I
ahead,
think
Mahoney.
it's a time of change where everybody can look. Even in your daily life, you can see how many more people are awake now. You
Yep.
know, I encounter it all the time, and they say things, passing things to you like, you know, even a lot more people say things like "God bless," and I find a lot more people I'm bumping into are asking me about, I like to follow. They'll say things like, "I like to follow the path of living well and living true because I believe in karma, I believe in destiny, I believe in, I don't want to have to face purgatory when I pass on." I'm like, people coming at me would never talk about things like that. I think there is a wave of spiritual awareness. How far you put your toes into that awareness pool is entirely up to you, but people are picking up on the frequency waves. It depends if you want to immerse yourself in it, or you just want to put your toes in and roll your jeans up or roll your pants up and just bathe in it up to your ankles. And I think that's really interesting, considering I know I wasn't at the same amount of levels of awake and aware of the spiritual enhancements and upgrades that are out there now for people, but the amount of people that are receiving them, they just say things, they haven't really consciously made a decision to reach out and say, "Hey, do you realize this? Do you realize this? Do you realize this?" But it is refreshing that we are having so many more people that are aware of doing good things, being a better person. Drew said something to me yesterday. We were talking by text message, and she said to me, good things truly do happen to good people, but also good things happen to bad people. And I forgot to answer you actually, Drew. And I said, a lot of the reason why bad people, like let's say you take a drug dealer or a trafficker, and they're still living a good life. They haven't been arrested. They don't live looking over the shoulder. They're living in a life of luxury. It always does come crashing down at some stage. If you're a drug dealer, there are only two aspects. You're going to get killed or you're going to get caught. You're not going to build your business and hand it off to one of your sons. Somebody will take it off you and kill you and all your cronies, but you're not going to retire on it and live a life of peace. And it's because the universe doesn't understand negative energy. It just understands what you consider to be negative energy. So a lot of the reasons that people are still doing bad things and still surviving is because they say, "Well, I'm just providing a service." The reason I smuggle cocaine into the US or into Europe is because how many people use it? I'm just providing a service. So they're not attracting that energy back to themselves because they've convinced themselves that they're doing good things. And it's also the people that are doing, I could give you a whole list of things that we, as our moral fiber, our moral line tells us of good and bad things. But eventually, God does catch up. And it's quite funny because I've started to see there was a big lawyer that got busted recently in Marbella. What was his name, Charlie? You might know him. You probably do. It came on the news today, and I was like, yeah, I've been waiting for that to happen for quite a few years. And then some other people that went during COVID. There was another bad guy that I knew that I think he was euthanized in hospital because he got COVID. They put him in hospital and killed him, but he killed a couple of people and got away with it because he was rich. So the bottom line of all my waffling and rambling is I'm loving having random people coming up to me and saying things that makes me know that they felt the change, whether they got the toes in or they're fully swimming in that pool of frequency change. But it is out there. It is sweeping around. And when you hear about stories about Operation Looking Glass, when the US military went into Iraq during the first Gulf War, took that piece of equipment, which was an ancient piece of equipment, looking down through the hundreds and thousands of years of past and future. No matter what they did, they could not stop this great awakening, and the entire planet's population, anybody that was out there to feel anything, is coming on board, coming online. All of a sudden, you know that when you turn your computer, that sound, whether it's a Mac or a Pro, like, wow, people are coming online. And one other thing before my battery dies, I'm actually doing pretty good, actually, sitting in the car, is you'll appreciate this, Charlie, and this isn't a dig at Islam. It's not a dig at any form of religion, but I saw a video yesterday. It made me go, it's so true. When people tell past life stories, they go down the operating theater to get their appendix removed or plastic surgery, and something goes wrong, and they're dead on the operating table. And the entire team of surgical experts, medical experts, are zapping them clear. Put the voltage up. Eventually, when you come back from a near-death experience, there isn't a single recorded case of anybody saying, oh my God, I died and I saw the light. I walked towards the tunnel. I was called to a greater place, and the feeling of euphoria and peace and love was overwhelming. And then when I got to the end of the tunnel, I saw Mohammed.
Exactly. I saw exactly the same thing.
Did you see that video?
Everyone sees Jesus.
Everyone sees Jesus. And I was like, you know what? It's true. How many people have said, I had terrible accident in desert off camel, and I was taken through a tunnel of light, and there was Mohammed waiting for me. They never say it. It's always Jesus. And I know that Charlie's married a Muslim, and your wife is beautiful, amazing person, Charlie. And I know that you're very interact with that particular form of religion. And I've been in these countries in Africa, and they're amazing people. I love going to Middle Eastern countries, and I've never had a bad experience with an Islamic person in that country. They would give you the last piece of bread, which is the craziest thing, because as soon as they get out, they're horrible, But it's true. Nobody's ever seen Mohammed in one of these past life, or, dying on the operating, or my life flashed before me, and then I was on the magic carpet flying towards Mohammed. It doesn't
exactly.
The camel flipped over. You're nuts. High-speed camel jockey race. It doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. You're absolutely right. This whole thing is all about dividing us anyway, because the people that I know, and my wife is included in that were brought up with a Muslim teaching, they were brought up with a Muslim teaching because of where they were born.
Yeah.
And if you were born in Thailand, you're going to be brought up with a Buddhist teaching. When it comes to Iran, originally, Iran was a Christian country.
It's true.
And I will tell you right now, and this leads very nicely into one very important story that I've got for you today, which is news from the inside. People have seen that Donald Trump is negotiating a deal with Iran to get some enriched uranium out of Iran. Now, there's a reason for that, because it was put in there by America and Israel. And they're trying to get it back because it's bloody dangerous. And the people who put it in there for a reason, so that they could wipe out Iran. And Donald Trump is trying desperately to get it out so it doesn't wipe out the Christian population of Iran. And Iran will go back to being a Christian country. That's biblical. And it will no longer be the Islamic Republic of Iran, because that was taken over by bad people. And it wasn't taken over, this might surprise you, it wasn't taken over by the Islamic extremists. It was the Zionists that infiltrated and put them in there, putting these people into Iran. They put them in there on the basis they released them from prison because they were terrorists, as long as they could come out of prison on the basis that they worked as terrorists for Israel under the Hezbollah banner. These are the type of people that were put there, and they were given the weapons, they were given everything by Israel and America, or the United States, not America, the United States. And now Donald Trump is demolishing the corporation of the United States and making America. And when I talk about America, I'll say this because Nick will like this, he probably knows this already, But America is not just one country, it's 37 countries in total, including South America, including Canada. He's going to make it all great again, all of the islands. Central America, it's all America. He's making America great again. The United States corporation is being completely dismantled, and that's what most people know as the swamp. But that's all being done. But what's being taken out of Iran is not something that the Iranians have got. It's something that was given to them by the Americans, by the United States corporation and the Zionists in Israel.
Was Clinton in charge then, Charlie? Was that Clinton's deal?
It started off with the Bushes, then the Clintons,
Yeah.
the Obamas, and then the Bidens. But they're all interlinked. And then from a UK point of view, Tony Blair was very much involved in that at that time, and a number of his people. And he's making a comeback at the moment, sort of being the backbone behind the controlling influence behind reform in the UK. So people need to be very, very careful when they when you vote for somebody. You need to do your research rather than just go, "Oh, he looks nice," because Starmer looked nice until he got in the office, and then he turned into a twat. And he's now got a degree in being a master twat.
Yeah, like I challenge anybody to go out and find an Iranian living outside of Iran that is a double of what they put on the television. You know, the crazy ones with the big beards and screaming.
Yeah.
They are all such nice, educated. They're doctors, they're dentists, they're lawyers, they're accountants, they're social workers. And they all talk with the most soft, nicest voice that I've actually ever met. Nicest people. And it's the same with, like, when they say, oh, El Salvador, for example, now, biggest jail in the world. El Salvador was one of when I used to land at the airport, we were told, don't leave the airport, guys, unless you're under an armed guard. And they used to give us, they'd say, do you want a Glock or do you want a Beretta if you're going to go out from the airport? When I was there in 2010. So we'd land at the airport, they'd give us a weapon, sign a weapon, off you go, it's on your own, but, sign a waiver that you're going to, that's how dangerous it was. There was children standing at the airport fence, and I'm not joking, Charlie, they didn't even have a tiny little pair of pants on, totally butt naked, asking for $1 because of the cartel and the drug influence that was going on in that country. Now, they built these supermax prisons, put the entire gang-related population in prison, and bring them in from all over South America, which Trump has been a big supporter of. And it's one of the safest countries in the world now to get rid of.
Let me just quickly add to that, because I've just had 2 phone calls today from 2 of my mates who are Cuban.
Cuban, yeah.
And the people in Cuba are rejoicing en masse at what Donald Trump's doing for them. Nobody's ever done anything for them before, ever, apart from make them worse and worse and worse. The media won't tell you this. The people of Cuba, 98% of them, are pro-Trump and so happy because they're looking forward to getting a life back. They've never had a life. They've been absolutely torn to shreds. And Trump will make them part of America and make them great again. And they are so excited because everything he's promised to them so far, he's delivered. And even with the memorial that in Washington that was falling apart under Biden, Trump has had that cleaned up and made it look beautiful. And he's making America great again. Not just the United States area, the whole of America. He's making it great again. And if you look at El Salvador, what the man down there, the leader down there, has done, he's taken it from one of the worst countries, if not the worst in the world, to now one of the safest in the world.
Yeah.
And this is all part of making America great again. It's not just one man doing it. It's God working in different people to do it and using Donald Trump to make America great and other people doing their job. Trump didn't come to save you. You're right, Nick. Everyone thinks Trump came to save you. He didn't. He came to get in the way and stir it up to give us a chance to stand up ourselves and do the work ourselves, which 99% of my audience have already done. And I'm so proud of them because they've actually done the hard work themselves. But the reason I mentioned this at the start of the show is because the higher you get, the more little bastards are underneath you trying to attack you.
Yeah, there's always somebody trying to pull you back down, jealousy. People ask me how you do, my honey. I say, it's all right. Somebody asked me the other day, are you still doing those silly little shows where you talk about conspiracy theories? I say, now and again, now and again. I'm giving dating advice. I did a series of videos saying, listen, if you how are you going to expect to have a decent relationship if you're hiding messages on your phone and sneaking around with your friends and going and taking drugs and messing about with women and going back to it's the same for women. If you're dating, you got three different guys on the boil here. Are you gonna? You can't live like that. If you cannot leave your phone in front of whoever you're living with and say, answer it, check any message. You want to read messages? Read the messages. So, and then they were saying to me, "Are you still doing those silly little dating advice things?" I was like, "Yeah, I still am."
Yeah,
It's not,
exactly.
like you said earlier, Charlie. It's not worth discussing or getting into an argument situation with an idiot.
No, no.
Waste your time.
Well, just quickly, Drew, we got time for a couple of questions while we've got Dave and Nick here.
Fabulous. Charlie, can you elaborate on your statement that it will all be done by 2027? What will we see that will be done? Gold, silver, backed currency, arrests, people aware that elections have been stolen.
Well, the person that's asking that question, I would have thought would have known by 2026 because most of my audience are wide awake. And everyone that's wide awake in the seventh level of consciousness will see everything this year. It's only if you're lower than that you'll actually wait until 2027. The reality is that the whole financial system will change this year, and those people on my show will know all about it because, number one, I'll show you. Number two, you've done the hard work yourself and working on yourself so you can feel it within you. We'll see the change in the financial system. We'll see gold and silver go up through the roof. We're going to see the digital currency being introduced. That may well be July the 4th. I don't know. There's no point predicting exactly what day it is. Something will happen on July the 4th because it's 250 years and it's Independence Day. And the fact that Trump's putting a $250 note out there with his face on there is a sign. Now, does that mean that we're going to see everything on July the 4th? No, it doesn't, because different levels of frequency means that you'll see different things and you'll see it coming. You'll feel it coming. Because what it won't do is it won't be on CNN and the BBC like you used to have that information. That information will be transmitted within you. So you will have your own direct contact with your creator, and your creator will communicate just with you and show you what's happening, and you'll feel it within you. You won't be looking outward, you'll be looking inward. When you look inward, you'll find everything's there. So, and I'm beginning to stop looking outward because I'm still tempted to look for evidence rather than looking within and finding everything there. The answer to everything is within you. And that's what the difference is between 26 and 27. If you have the ability to look within yourself and you're connected to God within you, you'll see everything ever so clearly without watching YouTube, without watching Rumble, without watching BitChute, without watching the television, without listening to the radio, without anything. You'll feel it within you. It's a frequency, it's vibration. It's God communicating with you, and you'll just sit back and smile and you'll feel abundance come into your life. And abundance isn't all about money. In fact, it's nothing to do with money. It's to do with the frequency and vibration and what you can actually do with your life. We're going to move into a very special era that nothing like we've ever been in before. It's not like somebody turning up with a wheelbarrow of $100 bills at your front door going, hey, there you go, Johnny, that's just for you. It's not like that. Not like that. It's a completely different thing altogether. So this year, you will feel everything change and you'll see everything within you without. And then people go, well, how do you know? How do you know? And it's so difficult for people who are on a lower frequency, because if you say to somebody who knows, you just go, well, God told me. And they'll go, okay, I'm with you on that. I get that.
Yeah.
But if they're not on the same frequency, no. How do you know it was him?
Anyway, the wheelbarrow full of money, Charlie, they're not $100 bills, they're $250 $100 bills.
Oh, exactly. And they've got Trump's face on them.
Well, talking about the bills, the question that Bill is asking is, why do you think that Trump didn't put the wording, the American Treasury?
What did he put on there instead?
Those are just mock-ups, you guys. Those aren't the actual physical bills that will be released. Those are just mock-ups of what they very well may look like, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's pretty logical. They haven't been released as legal tender yet, so they could change between now and then. It's
Yeah,
just,
because look, they're not going to say, God protect Donald Trump or whatever it said on there. It's not going to really say that. So those I think were mock-ups, AI that were sort of creating what they may look like. And I wanted to definitely piggyback on what Charlie just said. It's there's a huge transference and understanding when a person stops looking for the truth to be given to them. They stop asking, well, there's so much going on. Who do I listen to? Who can tell me the truth? Should I listen to Mahoney? Should I listen to Charlie? How about Gene Decode? How about 1-7? Once you get to a point where you no longer are asking, who will tell me the truth? Do you think that Charlie sits around, or Mahoney or myself, waiting for the news to tell us about what aliens really are? Will there ever be a day, ever in our lives, when the news or someone official has more to know than we already know? That day simply will not come. We will always, when I say we, truthers, people looking into it, viewers, subscribers to this show, whatever, we will always know more than what is shown to the general population. Don't ever expect that the news will tell you a bunch of stuff you don't already know. That's not how it's designed. It's the other way around. Like I said earlier, we drive disclosure. We decide what seeps into the public and what they start to know, but we will always be ahead of the curve. You do not need someone who's official or an authority figure or someone wearing a tie ever to tell you what is real, what is true, what's really going on behind the scenes. That's all an illusion. It's always been an illusion. And that's what you're being shown with all of this disclosure about 1,000 different things. It's designed for one thing, for you to finally say, oh my God, all of this is just to show me that all of this is bull. And until I make the decision that the truth is coming from the inside, I will always be confused. I will continue to be confused, to try to decode this, to try to understand the comms with that. There is no understanding. That's the whole point. Okay? So when that place in time happens, you'll remember it and you'll say, all that time I spent, trying to understand what the gematria. Look, all of that stuff has its place, but it runs its course. It gets you from point A to point B, to finally making a choice and understanding that that is not where the information lies. It lies within. Okay.
yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Guys, I've got 2%. So without
Yeah.
the screen just dropping on me, I'm going to say we need to do this again sooner, Charlie. We need to get Nick
Definitely.
on. Nick, I'll do a
100%.
show with you in the next couple of weeks as I normally do. Drew, happy birthday. I believe is it your birthday today? Yesterday? When
It
is
was
it?
yesterday, yeah, thank
Oh,
you.
you
Yes.
lucky thing, eh? 35 again, eh? Drew?
I
He's
wish.
catching me up, Mahoney.
Can you believe-
Unbelievably quick.
I'm 45.
Oh, no, I'm
45.
just joking. You weren't supposed to talk about it online, girl.
Oh, it's all right. It's
All right, guys.
Great to see
Nick,
you
thank you
guys.
so much, buddy. Great to see you, Mahoney.
And
Cheers,
you.
buddy.
Back in touch soon.
Cheers,
Enjoy
bro.
the weekend, everybody, wherever you are. Remember, keep yourself on a vibrational higher frequency. and don't listen to the crap that people throw at you. It doesn't stick to you if you got that frequency around you. They can throw all the
man.
shit on.
Bye, guys.
Guys.
Thanks, Nick. I'll see you next time, okay?
You bet.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
These are the facts, not put out by mainstream media. If you want to know the truth, we put out the truth every single day, Monday to Friday. Saturdays and Sundays, we spend with our families, as we should do. So if you want to know the truth, come to charlieward.com and see real news daily. And join the Insiders Club, which is live on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Global tensions are rising, markets are unstable, and currencies keep losing value. While governments print more money, smart investors are moving into physical gold and silver. Assets that have protected wealth for centuries. That's why more people are turning to Charlie's Gold to secure their future before the next financial shakeup hits. Don't leave your wealth exposed. Own something real, own gold and silver. Visit charlies.gold today.